for a brand new start. But little does she know that when she left that day, along with her she took my heart. Rain, please tell me now, does that seem fair? For her to steal my heart away when she don't care. I can't love another when my heart's
One more delicious latte. So I can actually say that I've been to every single location of Cafe Olympico in Montreal now. So this is the third one that's on McGill. The other one was around Old Montreal, close to around St. Paul Street. And the other one that I was well known about, or actually the one I knew quite well, was up in Mile End, around St. Theodore and Saint Laurent. So that's pretty much my go-to place if I'm doing my Saint Laurent walk, along with Cafe Pista. I did pass by around here around episode, it was the Oldies Walk episode. I thought, let's take a step in. I think it's 2 stories here, but the downstairs area is pretty small. Either way, love this stuff. So everyone, welcome to yet another edition of the Wandering Yuki Cheese Cafe. And as I'm recording this episode, it's F1 weekend around here, which is when the Montreal Grand Prix takes place. If you're not as familiar with it, you go around Peel Street and the Crescent Street, and they're going to have all these kiosks that are set up for races. So we got displays of Ferraris, displays of Porsche cars, video game simulations of driving, a lot of free stuff, and even have Corona and Heineken booths everywhere. It's not draft. It's going to be in cans. So what else can you do? And of course, as I'm recording this, everyone's looking at me like, what the heck is going on? Such is the life of a vlogger, but it is what it is. But I'm actually checking out something different today. There's a little event I was told by my aunt that I should check out. It's called the Polski Picnic. And if you're not familiar with that, hell, I wasn't even sure of it until I just heard of it. It's a Polish festival that's supposed to be taking place up around the Plateau. And I figured because the Ukrainian Festival isn't taking place this year, the Polski Picnic is the next best thing. So I'm just going to be enjoying this, seeing how I can balance the camera with an umbrella and the coffee, and then we'll go from there. Now, before we continue our walk, I'm going to suggest you like this video beforehand, and oh yeah, good idea too. If you haven't done so, subscribe to the channel and set the notifications on. That way, if I put together a new video, you'll get a pop-up on your phone that it'll be ready for viewing. So I'm always doing new content, new wanders, and always trying to get into older music once again. Like I mentioned in the last time I did my oldies walk, I kind of had memories of oldies 990 AM radio back when I was a kid driving around my dad's car. So I feel like that kind of created a little theme going on for the summertime. So I feel like it's going to be an oldie summer. It's going to be kind of nice revisiting some memories from the past. Great.
She ran away, and I wonder where she will stay. My little runaway, run, 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 run away.
The Milton Urban Cafeteria. That's someplace I passed by before, but never actually decided to step inside of it. At least not with the current setup, because my memory of that is it used to be a Second Cup back in the day, and I guess they rebranded a while, because Second Cups were closing around here. Same thing for Cafe Depots. And now, I don't know what it's like, but we'll figure it out one of those days. One thing is certain though, I do love the facade of that. The wooden style makes it feel very rustic. And again, I've mentioned it before, but when you look at facades, look around the older parts of Montreal. There's so much character in the buildings. I'm right in front of Galerie du Parc, which probably doesn't mean too much, but there is actually a little fun story if you're into anime and movies. Around here is a Cinema du Parc that would sometimes show these obscure things. I do remember years ago that they actually had a 35mm print of the anime Castle in the Sky. which if you've never heard of it before, Castle in the Sky is one of those films that's from, I forget his first name, but last name is Miyazaki. He's kind of like the equivalent of Walt Disney in Japan in terms of anime. Good quality, not like a lazy animation you see all the time in anime and etc. But what made it interesting is that there was actually a 35mm print, like I mentioned, and it was one of those that was in Japanese, but with English subtitles. And this was like back, so I think the film was released in the 80s, so a 35mm print of that was probably atypical and unusual for the time. But I'm glad I got to experience it too. I feel like I saw one more over there too. Oh, Castle of Cagliostro. So yeah, you can add anime to the list of things I know. Oh, my umbrella's bending. Yeah, umbrellas, I think it's a scam. You buy them, they're like 20 bucks, and if you have really bad winds, it's just gonna break on you, and you have to throw in the garbage and go spend another 20 bucks. What is the point if it's only gonna last like maybe one really windy, rainy day at best? It's so annoying. And yeah, maybe I could find something else to do with it. Well, I'd say that if there was a pretty lady right beside me, I could just, you know, cover her with the umbrella, then maybe we'll go on a date, then next day we'll end up getting married. But I feel like that only works in movies and music logic, where everyone lives happily ever after.
Bus stop where day she's there, I say, please share my umbrella. Bus stop, bus go, she stays, love grows under my umbrella. All that summer we enjoyed it.
Stupid umbrella. Now, in the background, over here is Mount Royal, which if you remember a while back in the road to Mount Royal, in fact, you want to see that, just click on the link on the top right corner, and you'll revisit me when I did a little walk right up the hill on a really cold day also. Actually, no, it wasn't too cold. It was kind of sunny and starting to get warm. It was mid-March after all. There's one building I saw up there, which I thought, yeah, might not be easy to see from here, but it's something that looks like a clock tower, which is the old Royal Victoria Hospital. I know that pretty well because that's the hospital I was born in. So yeah, it brings back some memories. I was passing by on the walk and I thought, yeah, this is foreboding. It's like an old style castle, and if I go up there at night, it almost feels like I'm approaching Dracula's lair, like I'm in a Castlevania game. If I ever go on a walk in the autumn, like close to Halloween and it's nighttime, I'm gonna bring my whip and holy water! What is the point of these umbrellas?
Nice to think that that umbrella led me to a vow. Every morning I would see her waiting at the stop. Sometimes she'd shop and she would show me what she bought. All the people stared as if we were both quite insane. Someday my name and hers are going to be the same. Bus stop where day she's there, I say.
Nice. So despite the rain, it looks like there's tents set up around here. I think there's going to be the festival going on. Nice. They might not have the Ukrainian Festival this year, but you know what? I'll take what I can get. And I'll let you know what I'm going to find very soon. There. Yeah, it's light rain, so I think I'm going to pull away the umbrella just so I don't look like a jackass anymore. I've arrived here at Polski Picnic today. Now, in case you're wondering why I'm interested in Polish stuff, well, just a bit of a background. Obviously, Yuki is part of my heritage, if you know by my name, but Ukrainian only makes up about 75% of my bloodline. The rest of it is like 12.5% Polish and 12.5% Estonian. So, for all intents and purposes, and for those who are afraid of math, we just call myself Ukrainian. But there's actually a lot of similarities. Most of Eastern Europe are going to have very similar cuisines and cultures, and well, one of the funny things I was told is that the vocabulary and the spelling is a little bit different. Because typically if you go for a Slavic language, like maybe Croatian, Ukrainian, you can kind of find a little bit of consistency across the board there. Let me just get this water off. But if you go to Polish, they seem to make it so complicated and difficult, you read it and you think, what the heck is that supposed to mean? so kind of funny to think about that. All right, so what I see here is on one side, here's going to be the restos, and then over here is the beer garden. I think before I touch the beer garden, I should probably get some food for myself. You have got to be kidding me. So this is a place that closed down ages ago and it had been abandoned. And what takes its place? Yeah, a mad clown parlor. Like the world really needs more of this. Oh yes, I kind of realized that I might need some cash when I was going to that festival. So I had to make my way onto Mont-Royal Avenue to find a bank, get some money, and then head back there. Maybe extend my walk a little bit, but it's not the end of the world. Maybe give some time to calm down so that things can actually pick up around there. So finally got my food, and despite the fact that it's raining and it's kind of wet, I know that if I'm sitting down, I'm gonna wet my ass. I thought, forget about it. I gotta do this because it's the only way I could capture this on camera here. So what I got over at the tent that was over there was the Polish platter. So it's a nice mix of about just everything that you can imagine that's big in the Polish or Eastern European cooking for that matter. So the simple stuff is kielbassa, as I would call it. And yes, if you remember that video, I did a pizza with that stuff before, thanks to Jatinski's Deli. And if you want to revisit, click on the link on the top right corner and then you'll see. But apparently that's just the anglicized name for it. If you're speaking Ukrainian, it's Kielbassa. So there's a V after that first O. Actually, by saying there's only one O. But in Polish, it's Kielbassa, so K-I-E-L. You ever see what I mean about it getting complicated? So that's pretty good stuff. And I have a pretty good amount of pierogies here, or pierogies, as they would say in Polish. What I learned a little while ago was that pierogies in the Ukrainian are called vareniki, so there's a bit of a difference with that. As for the filling, well, I have a feeling I know what it is. Looks like it's a potato and cheese variant. And, ooh, there's garlic in here. I'm already loving it. But when you're talking pierogies, traditionally you're going to be using either ground beef or ground pork if you want to have a meat dish, or potato and cheese is the easiest thing to do to kind of accommodate everybody's taste, especially if you're vegetarian. But what I was told before was that there's actually a lot more pierogies out there than you imagine. I knew about the potato and cheese, I knew about the meat one. I also knew you could put it with strawberry, with blueberry to make it dessert-like, but you can even use lentils in your pierogies. You can use spinach with potato. You can make it stuffed with a chunked apple. So there's actually a lot more varieties out there than you can imagine, which I never would have expected. But for all intents and purposes, potato and cheese is the classic one. Next on the menu is what appears to be a homemade sauerkraut. And I know it's homemade because I had a huge vat of that they were cooking up. And it's giving memories to La Succursale when I was having sauerkraut there. Because it's one of the only spots that makes it warm. In this case, when they do their sauerkraut, I think they add a little bit of pork to it. Not bad at all. And the last is a bit of a coleslaw by the looks of it. And I think it's homemade also. Coleslaw is like just some chopped up cabbage that you add with a bit of seasoning. Sauerkraut, you're fermenting the cabbage in its own salts and the fluids. Pretty good, but I've had bad luck when I'm preparing that because it always goes moldy in my house. But all this to say, great food, and I'm probably gonna need a drink afterwards. And luckily, I do have the beer garden that's right here. Now, excuse me, I'm about to choke on sauerkraut. Well, I got lucky right here. So what they had at the festival is obviously one of the Polish beers I probably highlighted on the channel in the past, Zywiec. And I got the custom plastic glass right here. Good stuff. So unlike at the Ukrainian Festival where they used to sell Lvivsky, Zywiec you can get pretty easily around here. You just have to go to the SAQ for it. So it's like a nice Polish dirty blonde, I have to say. And it's like about 5.2, 5.5%, so not too strong. But it's got plenty of flavor. Good stuff, man. I had to take a bit of a walk around here, but one thing I forgot to mention too is that they were giving a few of these keychains away, which actually act as bottle openers. Funny enough, it's magnetic. It looks like the bottle of Zywiec, and it's actually pretty handy. It's like, even the cashier who gave this to me said, you know, it comes in handy because in case you drop your keys in the sewer, this could save your life. And it's true. You'll hit the manhole cover and you might be able to still fish it out. Now I'm just checking out some of the other tents around here because there is some other interesting stuff. So much like the Ukrainian Festival, you're going to have a few of the vendors over here that come from probably other parts of Canada to be able to sell some of their merchandise. I know I'll probably cover the Ukrainian Festival again once it starts up. There are some pretty cool ones. A couple of paintings. There was even like a brand new pint glass I thought I gotta have. Actually, no, it wasn't a pint glass, it was a stein. And I'm gonna show it off at the end. Pretty neat. Sometimes get other collectibles, lots of red and white, compared to Ukraine, which is mostly the blue and yellow. So you kind of get an idea of the color scheme. That's the flag. Jackpot. Can you believe it? One stein for $5. Such a thing of beauty. It looks like that there's a band that's starting to set up over here to start playing. I don't know if I'll be sticking around long enough to be able to watch them. One thing is kind of on my mind though is they do have shots of vodka for like $4. But should I try one or should I not? So ultimately I decided that the vodka is not going to be happening today because I'm going to admit, in terms of liquors, vodka's never been one of my go-to ones. I'm more of a Scotch guy. You already know that by following me on the channel. But it's been fun so far here. Oh, actually there's one shop that I feel like I could probably visit one of these days. It's called Eurodeli Battery, and it says it's along St. Viateur West. So consider that St. Viateur has the bagel place and also that it has Cafe Olimpico to tie it back to how I first started this wander. I feel like I might have passed by there before, so I might need to pay a visit one of these days to kind of check it out, see what they got. Their advertising have the best pierogies in the city. Frankly, I make really good pierogies, so I find it hard to believe that homemade are going to be topped by something you can get at the store. Hard to say it all. Now, overall, first time coming to Piknik Polski is satisfying. The one downside is obviously because of the weather, which is not anyone's fault just because no one could have predicted the rain. Had this been a clear day, I'm pretty sure it would have been super nice and it would have been super packed, but still satisfying. I give it a thumbs up. And speaking of thumbs up, thanks for watching this edition of the Wanderyuki Cheese Cafe. So be sure to like this video, hit that subscribe button, and leave a comment if you have an idea for a future episode one of these days. Till then, have a good weekend and see you next time. So many pigeons here. I don't want to approach one because I'm afraid they're going to dive into my head. And it's not the first time that's happened. Ugh.